Good evening, everybody. Here we are on a Monday night. So we don't have Monday Night Football, but we have real racquetball with USA Racquetball. I'm here with Mike Wedel, the Executive Director. We always enjoy spending our evening with you. I today am representing a fellow USA team member, Jake Bredenbeck. Thank you for the shirt, Beast Made Clothing. Appreciate that a lot. Mike, how you doing? I know there was some vicious storms that came through.
I'm doing well. We had a couple bouts of thunderstorms come through today, lost electricity for a little bit, but it's back on now and seems to be working well. So how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's get right to it because, you know, we like to keep real racquetball real. We like to stay within our time constraints. You know, Stuart Solomon's always working hard behind the scenes. And Mike, I'm going to hit you with a hot one right out of the gate here, all right? This is something that we briefly discussed, but not really, because just so everybody knows, all the players and all the fans and all the USA Racquetball members, you know, we don't really like to discuss so many of the questions because we want it to be real and genuine and organic and authentic. You know, I don't want to set my mic up for, you know, easy fly balls here as I watch my Yankees losing. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So, Mike, this is a hot topic. You know, I received well over a dozen inquiries about this. And, you know, Coach Jim Durham, Team USA, recently made a post on his Facebook page. And there was a lot of people that it rubbed the wrong way. His post, his words were exactly, how hard is it to become a Canadian citizen, ? Asking for a friend. You know, and I got to be honest, this question doesn't come from me. It comes from multiple people. You know, I would ask Jim directly, but I just didn't even want to engage and get involved. And I think that's actually a question that USA Racquetball should have to deal with. So, you know, in today's times and with all the turmoil, red, blue, white, black, doesn't matter, whatever, you know, what's USA Racquetball's position on the head coach of Team USA, you know, posting something like that?
Well, I did hear about the post. I didn't see it directly, but I did hear about it afterwards. And honestly, I'm disappointed. I don't like the optics of it are bad. And as is you know, USA Racquetball, and I'm sure as a Team USA member, heartening. And we've got an agreement and a contract with Jim, and he signs a social media agreement, and we'll address it from USA Racquetball's side. It's not something I can go into details here. Just, I'm sure you can understand that under contract, it's much like he's an independent contractor, but we respect him as much as we would any employee. So we'll handle it. But my personal opinion, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm disappointed as a Team USA member. I don't care the political parties. I don't care. I'm not going to discuss where I stand. You know, it's nobody's business but my own. And I certainly don't make it public. And one of the things is I signed that same social media contract. And you know, it's important to know that this isn't coming from just me. There are other players that actually, you know, we're not thrilled about that. So you're right. You know, as a Team USA player to see that, it was a little disheartening, but whatever. Anyway, you know, I had to throw that out at you, and I know you'll deal with it. So, all right, let's get right into it.
I'm concerned from it, so it's a, you know, I understand.
Well, like you said, you know, you heard from others as well, and you know, it's unfortunate. So, you know, hopefully we can keep racquetball out of that turmoil and that mess that's going on. So let's get right to it. Hey, so Chad Bailey in Florida, he had a question. He had a lot of questions a couple of weeks ago, so we're going to get to it now in Game 4. And it's a little bit long, so forgive me, but I know Stuart's going to pop up the graph here or the screen. Here's what he says, Mike. Years ago, there used to be a $4.95 credit card charge to people when they entered a tournament. USA Racquetball decided to eliminate that, passing that charge on to the tournament director. So instead of each player paying $5, the tournament director would have to pay roughly $500. Never really made sense to me. USA Racquetball's defense was just add $5 to $10 for every entry fee. But I think you know how racquetball players are. This isn't a real big deal, but this is just an example of how we feel as tournament directors. Benefits and incentives should come back to us because we are helping them generate revenues. We don't get any benefit. In fact, it costs us money to run a tournament sometimes. At one point, Chad Bailey, was doing 7 to 8 events a year. I did this for the love of the game, not the money. But after a while, it just became more of a hassle than fun. So before you answer that, Chad Bailey, first off, thank you so much for the events that you do run. You know, we love it. Please keep doing them. And yeah, that's a question only Mike can answer. So Mike, what do you got?
Great question. And Chad, I really appreciate you sending the question in. Let me explain a little bit where I'm coming from to start with, though.
So, all right, everybody, just FYI, this happened to us on the Beyond the Court. Mike, are you back? You froze a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I ran tournaments in the Kansas City area for the past 15 years and run 78 tournaments a year, and all of them through R2 and for the last 12 years or so. And so I completely understand where you're coming from. And it's not USA Racquetball stance, since I've come into this position, to put that money or that burden on tournament directors. Believe me, I understand as much or better than most do the struggles tournament directors go through. Rare money in any of my tournaments, so every dime and every dollar made a lot of difference. There are a couple of things that you can do. That is an option within the setup. You can either absorb that charge yourself, because the reason it changed was we had a lot of tournament directors complaining that they didn't want to have their tournament entries paying that money. So we took it out, and it's basically, it's got to be charged somewhere. The credit card processing is got to be charged. They charge us that. So we put it as an option. So you can go in and click the button and it'll switch it right back so that the player pays it. The way it I think it defaults is that it comes to the tournament director himself. On my tournaments, I didn't pay any of that. I didn't pay the $4.95 because I didn't have the checks processed through R2. I set up a Square account, scanned their cards when they checked in. It cost me on a 2.2%. It didn't cost me $4.95 per player. You don't pay that at all if you process your own cards. That's only if R2 processes the cards and they do all the accounting for it and then mail you a check. I mean, if they do that much work, they've got to collect something for it. And I just never had them do it. It was simpler for me just to collect the money at the tournament desk. So there's a couple different options. For Chad or anybody other tournament directors, if you've got a question, give me or Connor a holler. We'll help you figure it out. If you don't want to pay that, don't pay it, and don't charge it to the tournament.
Yeah, it sounds complicated, you know, and I mean, long ago I've run tournaments here in the States, but you know, yeah. So if Chad's having that problem, or Chad or anybody out there, man, I'd pick up the phone and call Mike or USA Racquetball right away, because you guys are so important. You know, tournament directors, we need you having these events. And if something like that, which is a valid, you know, it's a pain. It sounds like it's a pain, you know, but Mike has a reasonable answer for you there. You know, just find out how to fix that, how to remedy that. But don't let something like that deter you from having events. I mean, I get it. You know, there's a lot of little hassles, but like we have a lot of bigger problems. And Chad, and I understand, I'm sure that's one of many issues. So keep sending the questions in. But yeah, that definitely doesn't sound like fun on either side. So, you know, I don't know. But Mike, that's a good answer for me. If quite frankly, if I had that issue or question, I'd be picking the phone up, calling you or calling Connor and saying, hey, how do we get through this? You know, so that's definitely a good suggestion for Chad.
We absolutely, like I say, I've been a tournament director for 15 years and have run 100+ tournaments. I feel your pain. Trust me. My wife feels your pain.
Let's get to Michael Long. He says, how are we going to promote the outdoor game? And as you know, Mike Wedel, there are tons of indoor racquetball players that are running outside right now, especially with what's going on. I tell you, it honestly, I hate some of the stuff I read. I hate seeing people, you know, even on our show, my show on Sunday nights, you know, people saying things like indoor is dead. It's all about racquetball. I don't believe that. You know, we kind of touched on this last night. You know, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm not going to paint it all rainbows and unicorns and that there's no issues. There's plenty of issues. We know that. But, you know, it's a great point. I also believe that, yeah, and, you know, now is the time. That could be an opportunity where we do come together and we grow stronger together. Because like I say, if there's a racquetball racket and a racquetball racket and a ball in your hand, we're all in the same family. We are racquetball. So what's the deal with that? How are we going to promote the outdoor game, Michael Long?
Absolutely. Great question. And as you know, and we've mentioned several times, USA Racquetball is war now. We are one unit, we're combined. So we have a huge dedication to war and outdoor racquetball. And the three wall ball tournament coming up, neat deal. If you've got a chance, make your plans to go out to Vegas and go see that. That is an amazing venue. So we are promoting the outdoor game as much or more now than we ever have. And as we gain more tournaments, there's a reasonable amount of tournaments being sanctioned.
So yeah, everybody, I was anticipating this happening. Mike had, like I said, like I mentioned early on in the show, he had some major storms, so he's kind of popping in and out. Mike, go ahead. We lost you again, but
sorry about that, and I do really apologize. I wish we had a better system, but I live out in the country, so we do with what we have. But we really want to promote your outdoor racquetball games, your tournaments, leagues, fun. If you follow, I believe it's KC Outdoor Racquetball. It's a Facebook group on Facebook. Look it up. There's a huge group. It's grown and grown. There's some real stable people that have put that together, and they've got a great system going where they will post 2 or 3 times a week that we're playing at these courts at this time. There are 20 people out there. Rhonda Rasich was out this whole last week playing out those courts with Randy Root, good friend of USA Racquetball, and a lot of people go out there and play. So if you're having a tournament, let us know. We're promoting the 3-wall ball tournament nationally. It's not just a regional tournament. We look at it as a national championship. There's the one out in California and one in Florida that are big tournaments that we look forward to promoting those just as much once those get back on. So we are all about outdoor racquetball right now because it's, like you say, it's growing because people can go play it without having a membership to a club. Our goal is to get to have junior programs, because you can have any kids go play. They don't have to be members to a club. They don't have to, just get them a racket. And I know here in Kansas, any kid that wants to play, we will get them a starter kit and put them on a court. Give them a lesson, teach them how to play.
All right. That's a great point. I have a question. Connor Shane, I know he's doing what he can in these times, without national events. Are there any plans for USA Racquetball to hold national outdoor events versus, or as opposed to, like you said, that KC group is awesome. I follow it. I'm actually going, I have plans with Randy to also go play out there. But are there any plans for us at USA Racquetball to hold any sort of national events? Or I got one easier for you, Mike, just a suggestion. We can do a combined event. How about we set up, somewhere where there's an outdoor courts as well, if that's possible? I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
It would be, and we actually tried that at National Singles a couple of years ago. They have some outdoor courts near the club, and they listed them, and we got very little interest during an indoor tournament. But to answer your first question, absolutely. We have several things in the works behind the scenes that we're working on that really can't get into right now because of just the logistics and the legalities of it. But over the next year or two, we absolutely will add some outdoor tournaments to our national championships that will be cooperative with war. We absolutely want the war community to embrace what we're trying to do, and we want to embrace their culture. It's a different group, and they play a different type of game, and they celebrate a little bit differently at the courts. So we're learning as much as we can about them so that we're not coming in and trying to change anything about it. We just want to add to the functionality. In fact, next week.
Sorry about that, everybody. Again, Mike has some storm issues there, so that's the technical difficulties. Sorry, Mike. You said we lost you at next week, Mike. So take it from next week.
We've been working for quite some time. That next week we have added all of the ranking systems for outdoor racquetball, and to do so, it's a little bit different animal, like I said, than indoor, because we've added 1 wall, 3-wall long wall, 3-wall short wall, in singles, doubles, and mixed doubles, and then men's and women's in all of those categories also. So we're working really hard behind the scenes to bolster the function war, so that war tournaments have the same access to rankings and numbers, and makes competition a little bit better if you understand how the ranking system works. So
we don't understand the ranking system, but that'll be a question for later if we haven't gotten to it. I got to see, but I can tell you that I'm sitting here and you're saying the ranking system, and yeah, I have a lot of questions in my head, but I'll present those to you at another time in another game. But it's good. I think.
Well, wait to see the new interface for the ranking system. Okay,
cool. Excellent. Yeah, I think you froze again. That's okay though, because I have no problem speaking. I was never afraid of a microphone. So Mike, if we can hear you, if not, we might lose you. If we lose you for good, Mike, I don't know if you want me doing this show all by myself. And I'm certainly not positive that all the members want us doing this alone. There he is. I got you back, Mike. All right.
I apologize. I really do.
It's okay. I think what we're going to do is just for the show and for everybody watching, I think what we should do, Mike, is try to just get to 2 more questions, and we'll just cut this night a little bit shorter. Stuart, you're in the back room. Just let me know if that's okay, because I just don't want it to be frustrating, mostly for all the members and players and obviously us. So let's get to a question from Bob Anderson. He says, how do you get racquetball into schools as a competitive sport?
Fantastic. It would be the dream of everybody in racquetball, I think. And I'm going to test your question just a little bit. And I'm assuming you're not referencing racquetball can't be in a school as a competitive sport. They're not going to build courts. There are actually a lot of schools are taking sports out. So I'm assuming what you're asking is, how do we get school-related sports, much like there's in St. Louis and Portland, and how we get those functioning in other cities. And they're somewhat related to the school only because that's how they put together the teams and such. And I think I answered in the last one. We got the question about what's happening with high school racquetball and all that kind of stuff. So we are working.
You know what, guys? I think I'm going to look at one of these questions, and I'm going to do the best I can to answer, and then we're going to get out of here. So Stuart, if you want, you can get Mike out. I'm going to just get out of here tonight. This is rough. I feel bad for everybody, but this is what's going on right now. There's some wicked storms going on in the Midwest. I'm going to read something from Roddy Hogg. He says, even Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are returning to the ring in their 50s to put on a spectator event in September. Is the USAR considering something similar with the pros so racquetballers have something to watch? Of course, this should include professional quality video, audio, not live streaming. That's Roddy Hogg. Mike, I said I was going to kind of jump in on this because we lost you. And again, I can't stress enough, USA Racquetball does not control or really have anything to do with professional racquetball and the IRT. So, those questions we have to separate. Trust me, I know I do both. I play USA Racquetball and I play IRT when I can. They're 2 totally separate venues, but what we're trying to do right now, all of us, is bring racquetball together as a whole and work together. But USA Racquetball focuses on the amateur side. IRT focuses on the professional side. But at the end of the day, yeah, US Open is a mixed event, right? But Mike, that's not your job. That's not Connor's job to go and have professional style events. I think you heard me, like the Mike Tyson or Roy Jones Jr. spectator event. Do you have any comment on that? All right. You know what, everybody? I hope I answered your question. Mike, we're going to say goodnight. We're going to say goodnight. It's okay. We'll get back. We have plenty of questions. We're sorry about that. At least we got to see everybody. All right. Yep. And now you have questions. If you have more questions, just keep sending them in, email them in, send them to USA Racquetball. Watch the Facebook. We'll post some promo videos. We love when you send them. You can send them to me like you like. You obviously, many of you, I keep you anonymous. If you message me, that's fine. Send them to Mike, send them to Connor, USA Racquetball, wherever you want. We're easy to get a hold of. And we thank you for your support. Sorry about the technical difficulties here in Game 4. We'll be back at Game 5. We might call it Game 4.5. But Mike, thank you so much. Hey, Connor and Stuart in the back, thank you guys. And we will see everybody soon.
Thank you, everybody. Apologize for the technical difficulty.